A check bounce case arises when a check is returned unpaid by the bank due to reasons like insufficient funds, account closure, or mismatched signature. It is treated as a criminal offense under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881 in India. For legal action, the check must have been issued for a legitimate debt, presented within 3 months, and returned unpaid. The payee must send a legal notice within 30 days of the bounce, demanding payment within 15 days. If the drawer fails to pay, a complaint can be filed in the magistrate court within 1 month. Punishment may include up to 2 years imprisonment, fine up to twice the check amount, or both. The payee can also file a civil recovery suit. Required documents include the bounce check, bank return memo, and copy of the legal notice. This process ensures accountability in the financial transactions. What is a check bounce? A check bounce, or dishonor of check, occurs when a check issued by a person is returned by the bank unpaid. The most common reason is insufficient funds in the drawer's account, but other technical or legal reasons may also apply. In India, a check bounce is not just a financial inconvenience. It's a criminal offense under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881. The law provides both civil and criminal remedies to the payee recipient of the check. New check bounce rules in India, 2025. To curb delays and misuse, the Indian government and judiciary have implemented reforms. Key highlights include stricter penalties. Imprisonment increased up to 2 years, earlier up to 1 year in many cases. Fines can now be up to twice the amount of the dishonored check. Extended time limit for filing complaints. Previously, complaints had to be filed within 1 month after the check bounced. Under new rules, this has been extended to 3 months, giving more time to the payee. Online filing and digital evidence. Payees can file check bounce complaints online. Courts will more formally accept digital evidence like SMS, email, screenshots, assuming compliance with rules like those under Section 65B of the Indian Evidence Act. Mandatory notification by banks. If a check bounces, the bank must inform both the issuer, drawer, and the receiver, payee, via SMS/email within 24 hours, including the reason for dishonor. Account freeze for habitual offenders. If a bank account has 3 consecutive check bounces, the bank has the power to temporarily freeze that account. Uniform penalty procedures. Across banks, rules and penalty slabs are being standardized so that all banks follow similar norms for check bounce cases. Fast track resolution. There are directives, AG, from some high courts to expedite check bounce cases so that they are disposed of faster than under the older, slower processes. Check amount, interest, and legal expenses. You can also use summary suit procedures, Order 37 CPC, for faster judgment. Police complaint. In fraud cases, in cases involving fraud or cheating, you can file a complaint under Section 420 IPC. Settlement or mediation. For faster resolution, out-of-court settlement or mediation may be pursued, especially in small value matters. Issuance of check bounce notice. When a check issued by a drawer is dishonored or returned unpaid by the bank, the payee must take timely legal action to protect their rights. The first essential step in this process is the issuance of a check bounce notice or legal demand notice to the drawer as mandated under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881. Legal requirements for issuance time limit. The notice must be sent within 30 days from the date the payee receives the check return memo, also called the dishonor memo, from the bank. Delivery method. The notice should be sent through registered post with acknowledgement, due, RPAD, or a speed post to ensure there is proof of delivery. This helps establish that the drawer was informed legally and within time. Notice contents. The notice should clearly include details of the dishonored check such as check number, date, amount, and bank branch. The reason for dishonor as provided by the bank, for example, insufficient funds. A demand for the payment of the check amount within 15 days from the date the drawer receives the notice. A warning that failure to make payment within the stipulated time will result in legal action under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act. Importance of the notice. Issuing this notice is a mandatory legal requirement before filing a criminal complaint. It gives the drawer an opportunity to settle the debt and avoid prosecution. Failure to send the notice within the prescribed time frame can lead to dismissal of any subsequent check bounce complaint by the court. Receiving the check return memo. The payee receives the check return memo from the bank, which confirms the dishonor of the check. This memo serves as evidence of the check bounce. Sending a legal demand notice. The payee must send a legal demand notice to the drawer within 30 days of receiving the return memo. This notice should demand payment of the check amount within 15 days of the drawer receiving the notice. The notice must be sent via registered post or speed post, ensuring proof of delivery. Waiting period for payment. After the drawer receives the notice, they have 15 days to make the payment. If the payment is made within this period, no further legal action is necessary. Filing a criminal complaint. If the drawer fails to make payment within 15 days, the payee can file a criminal complaint under Section 138. The complaint must be filed within 30 days from the expiry of the 15-day period after the notice was served. The complaint is usually filed in the court having jurisdiction over the place where the check was presented for payment. Amount, sometimes with interest or penalty. The case can be withdrawn with the court's permission, avoiding conviction. Check bounce charges in India. A check bounce occurs when a check issued by the drawer is returned unpaid by the bank due to various reasons, most commonly insufficient funds, signature mismatch, or account closure. When this happens, it results not only in inconvenience, but also in financial penalties and possible legal consequences for the person who issued the check. In India, check bounce charges are imposed by banks and may also extend to legal costs if the matter escalates. Bank charges for check bounce. Banks impose a penalty on both the drawer, issuer of the check, and sometimes on the payee, recipient of the check, if the check is dishonored. Common bank charges. Drawer's charges. When the check is returned unpaid, the drawer's bank deducts a fee from their account. Charges typically range from 150 rupees to 750 rupees per check, depending on the bank and account type. Payee's charges. In some cases, the payee's bank may also impose a nominal charge when a bounced check is deposited into their account. Charges may range from 100 rupees to 300 rupees per check. Note, these charges are subject to GST, currently 18%, and may vary slightly between different banks. Example: charges. Legal charges for check bounce cases. If the check is not honored and the payee chooses to take legal action under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881, additional charges come into play. Legal expenses may include advocate fees. Legal professionals typically charge anywhere between 3,000 rupees to 25,000 rupees or more, depending on the complexity and jurisdiction of the case. Court fees, usually nominal, ranging from 50 rupees to 500 rupees, depending on the state and nature of the claim. Legal notice charges. Before filing a case, a legal demand notice must be sent to the drawer. Drafting and sending this notice can cost 1,000 to 5,000 rupees depending on the advocate. Documentation charges. Costs for preparing affidavits, notarization, and photocopies may also apply. Other consequences: in addition to financial penalties, the drawer may face the following: criminal prosecution, imprisonment up to 2 years or fine up to 2 years to twice the check amount or both, as per section 138. Negative credit score, especially if it involves business or loan linked accounts. Civil suit for damages. The payee may file a civil suit for compensation in addition to the criminal complaint. Check bounce case. Time limits. A check bounce is a serious financial and legal issue, and the law provides a clear timeline for taking legal action under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act, 1881. Adhering to these time limits is crucial. Failure to do so can result in the dismissal of the complaint. Below is a step-by-step breakdown of the time frames involved in filing a check bounce case. Presentation of check. The check must be presented to the bank within 3 months, 90 days, from the date mentioned on the check. If the check is not presented within this validity period, no legal action can be initiated. Dishonor of check and check return. Memo. Once the check bounces, the bank issues a return memo specifying the reason, e.g., insufficient funds, account closed. There is no fixed legal time limit to receive the memo, but the process usually happens within 2 to 3 working days. Issuance of legal notice. The payee must send a legal demand notice to the drawer within 30 days from receiving the check return memo. The notice must demand payment of the check amount within 15 days from the date the drawer receives it. Filing a complaint. If the drawer fails to make the payment within the 15-day notice period, the payee must file a criminal complaint in court within 30 days from the expiry of the 15 days. Conclusion. Check a bounce cases are taken very seriously under Indian law, particularly under Section 138 of the Negotiable Instruments Act 1881. The legal framework provides a structured process to ensure that the payee has a fair opportunity to recover the amount due through judicial means. A bounce check not only causes financial loss but can also damage trust in business and personal transactions.